With my 13 Days of Spooktober still ongoing, I wanted to cover some sort of horror show. However, while I could cover all manner of live-action horror series currently on Netflix, I wanted to kick it old school and focus on a little animated show from the early 2000s that served as many kids' first dip into horror. I am of course talking about Cartoon Network's Courage the Cowardly Dog. Before I jump into my review though, I'd love to know your thoughts on all this. Whether it be during or after the video, feel free to voice your opinions in the comments below. With that out of the way, let's jump in. Running from 1999 to 2002 for a total of 52 episodes, Courage the Cowardly Dog was an animated comedy horror show about a pink little dog named Courage who is, ironically, a huge coward. The show sees Courage doing his best to live a peaceful life with the kind-hearted Muriel and her grumpy husband Eustace on their little farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. However, much to Courage's horror, the little farmhouse he calls home seems to be a magnet for the paranormal, seeing as how he and his owners frequently encounter monsters, aliens, demons, mad scientists, zombies, vampires, and other such perils from myths and legends. Episodes generally follow Courage as he does his best to face his fears and keep his owners out of harm's way. Now, despite being a show that stopped running about 17 years ago, Courage the Cowardly Dog still has a cult following, and I would say for some pretty good reasons. Number 1, the show had some genuinely good horror. Now, while this was still a show aimed at kids and ran on a family-friendly network, they really did their best to push boundaries. I mean, with an episode that's basically an homage to The Exorcist, you can see that the creators of the show were passionate about making a genuine product. However, not only did the show dare to cover the supernatural, following all manner of horror film conventions along the way, but it also did really interesting things by messing with your expectations. Take the episode King Ramses' Curse, for instance, in which the episode ends with Muriel's husband Eustace apparently trapped in an Egyptian stone slab as punishment for his greed. Or take the episode The Great Facility, which ends with a lonely Courage puppeting his owners' bodies with strings now that they have been turned into lifeless dolls. Unlike other shows running at the same time, in which episodes, of course, wrapped up with a happy ending, Courage sometimes chose to ignore this convention, leading to some pretty unsettling moments. Likewise, the way the show played with different styles of animation was really creepy. Inserting everything from live action to claymation to even early CGI and unexpected moments, the show did a great job of creeping you out with stuff that just felt out of place. On the flip side of that, though, comes the comedy aspect of the show. Said to have been inspired by silent films starring Charlie Chaplin, as well as stuff like the Looney Tunes, a lot of the humor comes from slapstick, exaggerated faces, physical comedy, and over-the-top characters. While a show that was totally horror would have been cool, I don't mind the comedy aspect as I feel that it is well done and does help to balance out the show. It just really helps to ease the tension and keep it, well, cartoony, you know? Not only that, but going back to something I said earlier about playing with expectations, it really does help to keep the show interesting as you never know what to expect. Will the threat this episode be played straight and be as creepy as you think? Or will it end up being on the goofy side and something that Courage ends up befriending? Moving on, I briefly want to touch upon the art and music for the show. When it comes to the art, I think the environments and surrealism used are really cool and definitely do a great job of displaying different emotions. Like, if you pay attention to the use of color in different episodes, you get everything from an otherworldly feeling of doom to something unsettling but clearly dreamlike. As for the music, I love that the different villains and episodes have different themes that are specific to them. During research for this video, I was quite surprised by all the different tracks credited to the show, with stuff like the haunting melody that plays during the Dr. Gerbil chase being quite a standout. Finally, the last thing that I think made the show great was the way it tackled bigger themes. While on the surface the episodes just seem like your standard episode meant to spook, fans have pointed out how the show has more going on than some might give it credit for. For example, the episode The Mask is very explicitly about domestic abuse. The titular character from Freaky Fred can be easily seen as either a serial killer or sexual predator analog, and even the show's final episode, Perfect, deals with Courage learning to embrace his imperfections. While the show is in no way meant to be educational or anything, it is still cool to see it focus on some bigger ideas. When it comes to any negatives, I can't really think of anything, I guess, except for the fact that the show is, of course, not for everyone. Some people simply might not like the art style, or the character designs, or the content. Apart from that, though, I can't really think of anything that I would count as a negative against the show. So in conclusion, though the show last stopped airing in 2002, Courage the Cowardly Dog is a show that is still fondly remembered to this day. Full of some good horror, fun comedy, very well done music and art, as well as the occasional dip into bigger ideas, it is a show that I recommend looking up for a fun Spooktober watch. But hey, that's just my opinion. And remember, don't take anything I say too seriously. After all, I'm just a Wannabe Reviewer. Thanks for watching.